You've spent years trying to build a better version of yourself using willpower as the primary tool. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Every diet, every new habit, every promise to finally stop procrastinating ends in the same slow, frustrating slide back to the bottom. You believe the problem is you, a lack of discipline, a failure of character. This belief is fundamentally wrong. The fight you keep losing has almost nothing to do with your inner strength, and everything to do with the design of the room you're standing in. By the end of this, you will understand how to stop fighting yourself and start redesigning your world, making your desired behaviors the default, not the exception. And the architecture of your daily life is already shaping you in ways you've never consciously recognized. We treat willpower like a moral virtue, a muscle, something that strong people have and weak people lack. We admire the person who can resist the donut in the break room, who wakes up at 5 in the morning to run, who grinds through 12 hours of focused work. We see their success as a triumph of internal resolve. This is a profound misunderstanding of how human behavior actually works. Imagine your willpower is a battery. It starts the day fully charged. Every decision you make, big or small, drains a tiny bit of that power. What to wear, which email to answer first, whether to take the stairs or the elevator. By the time 5 p.m. rolls around, after hundreds of these tiny choices, your battery is nearly dead. This is what psychologists call decision fatigue. Now picture yourself walking into a grocery store at the end of a long day. Your battery is flashing red. The store is a masterpiece of environmental design, engineered to make you buy things you don't need. The candy bars are at the checkout counter precisely when your decision-making ability is at its lowest. The sugary cereals are at a child's eye level. The smell of the bakery is piped directly into the aisles. In this state, your ability to make a rational, long-term health choice is compromised. The environment is designed to overpower your depleted willpower, and it usually wins. Your failure to resist the chocolate bar in that moment is a failure of energy, not a failure of character. You were simply outmaneuvered by a superior design. Your environment was perfectly optimized to achieve an outcome you didn't want. The architects of that store understood something fundamental about you. They knew your willpower was finite, and they built a system that waits for it to run out. But this same principle can be turned around. It can be used to build a system that makes your goals inevitable. In the 1990s, the cleaning staff at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport had a problem. The men's restrooms were a mess. Specifically, there was a lot of spillage around the urinals, which drove up cleaning costs and created an unpleasant experience. They tried putting up signs. Please aim carefully. The signs did nothing. They tried more frequent cleanings that just cost more money. Then, an economist from their internal team suggested something strange. He proposed etching a tiny photorealistic image of a housefly into the porcelain of each urinal, right near the drain. The idea was that men, upon seeing the fly, would subconsciously aim at it. It was a simple, cheap intervention. The results were immediate. Spillage dropped by 80%, cleaning costs plummeted. No signs were needed. No pleas for better behavior. No attempt to train willpower. The designers just changed the environment with a tiny, almost invisible cue. They gave people a target. This is a classic example of what's called a nudge, a small feature of the environment that attracts our attention and influences our behavior. You are surrounded by nudges every single day. The layout of your kitchen nudges you toward certain foods. The design of your phone's home screen nudges you toward certain apps. The default settings on your software nudge you toward choices the company wants you to make. Think about a school cafeteria. Researchers who wanted to increase the consumption of healthy food tried several approaches. First, they tried education. They told the students why apples were better than cookies. This had a negligible effect. Then, they simply changed the layout of the cafeteria. They moved the salad bar to the front. They put the fruit at eye level, right next to the cash register. They moved the ice cream freezer to a less convenient corner. The result? Sales of salads and fruit tripled. The students were the same. Their knowledge was the same. The only thing that changed was the architecture of their choices. The healthy choice became the easiest choice. The path of least resistance led to an apple. This reveals a critical truth. We rarely choose from an infinite set of options. We choose from the menu presented to us, and whoever designs the menu has immense power over the final outcome. The question is, who is designing the menu for your life? If you haven't consciously designed it yourself, someone else has. A company, an advertiser, an algorithm, and their goals are likely different from yours. But what if you could become the architect? Your home is a perfect laboratory for this. Let's say you want to read more books. Your willpower-based approach is to force yourself to sit down and read for 30 minutes every night. This requires constant effort. It's another decision to make when your battery is low. The environmental design approach is different. You ask, how can I make reading the most obvious, frictionless thing to do? You could place a book on your pillow in the morning, so you literally have to move it to go to sleep. You could replace the television in your living room with a comfortable reading chair and a bookshelf. You could delete the social media apps from your phone and place your Kindle app on the home screen instead. You could even get a lamp with a timer that automatically turns on at 10 p.m. in your reading corner. A silent cue to begin. Now, consider the opposite. Let's say you want to stop snacking on junk food. The willpower approach is to keep cookies in the pantry and rely on sheer discipline to ignore them. Good luck with that. The design approach is to make the undesirable behavior difficult or impossible. The simplest step is to stop buying cookies. The environment is now clean. The bad choice cannot be made because it is physically absent. You can also add friction. A friend of mine who wanted to stop ordering takeout deleted all the food delivery apps from his phone. He also removed his saved credit card information from his web browser. Now, to order food, he has to go to the website, find his wallet, and manually type in 16 digits. That tiny bit of added friction is often enough to make him pause and ask, do I really want to do this? Most of the time, the answer is no. He'll cook something simple instead. He designed a pause into his own process. He made the easy thing hard and the hard thing easy. Think about the apps on your phone. They are designed by thousands of the world's smartest engineers to be as frictionless as possible. Infinite scroll, pull to refresh, red notification badges. These are all environmental cues designed to capture and hold your attention. You are not fighting your own lack of focus. You are fighting a supercomputer in your pocket, programmed to defeat you. The only winning move is to change the environment. Turn off notifications, set your screen to grayscale, bury distracting apps in a folder on the third page of your home screen. Add friction. Be the architect. This principle works because your brain is fundamentally lazy. It's an energy conservation machine. It will almost always choose the path of least resistance. Willpower is the act of forcing your brain down a path of greater resistance. It's metabolically expensive. Environmental design is the art of carving a new path of least resistance that leads directly to your goals. The behavior you want becomes the downhill slide. The behavior you don't want becomes the uphill climb. But the power of this goes even deeper than just changing your habits. It can change who you are. For decades, personality was seen as something fixed. You took a test, you got a result, introvert, agreeable, neurotic, and that was your label. It was considered a core, stable part of you, like your height or your eye color. This is called the plaster hypothesis, the idea that personality sets like plaster by early adulthood. Recent research has shattered this idea. Consider this. You have a friend who is quiet, reserved, and serious at work. But when you see them with their college friends, they are loud, hilarious, and the center of attention. Are they faking it in one of those situations? Or is it possible that both personalities are authentic, just activated by different environments? The evidence overwhelmingly points to the second option. Your traits are a response to the situations you are in. You aren't an introverted person. You are a person who behaves in an introverted way in contexts that cue that behavior. Change the context, and the behavior changes with it. Persistently change the context, and the trait itself begins to shift. Imagine a student who considers herself disorganized. Her dorm room is a mess, she misses deadlines, She's always late. She decides she needs more discipline. She tries planners and apps, but nothing sticks. Then she gets a summer internship at a high-end consulting firm. The office is minimalist and immaculate. Everyone's calendar is perfectly managed. The social expectation for punctuality and organization is absolute. The environment demands a different version of her. To survive, she starts adopting the behaviors of her colleagues. She cleans her desk at the end of each day. She plans her week meticulously. She arrives 10 minutes early for every meeting. At first, it feels like acting. It takes enormous effort, but after a few weeks, it gets easier. The cues in her environment, the clean desks, the shared calendars, the professional norms, are constantly reinforcing this new behavior. By the end of the summer, she returns to school. She finds she can't stand her messy room. She starts using her calendar automatically. Her friends notice the change. She's just a more organized person now. Her personality didn't change because she tried harder. It changed because she was placed in an environment where being organized was the path of least resistance. Her new identity is an echo of the room she was in. This is the ultimate promise of environmental design. You can stop the exhausting, head-on battle with yourself. You can stop trying to force a new personality into an old environment that contradicts it. That's like trying to grow a tropical plant in the Arctic. It's a waste of energy. The plant isn't the problem. The climate is. Instead, you can choose the situations, relationships, and physical spaces that naturally call forth the version of yourself you want to become. If you want to be more intellectual, join a book club or start spending your lunch breaks in the university library. The conversations and physical space will demand a more curious, thoughtful version of you. If you want to be more adventurous, join a hiking group or move to a city with a culture of outdoor activity. Your new social circle will make adventure the default weekend plan. Critics sometimes argue that this approach ignores personal responsibility. The opposite is true. This is the highest form of responsibility. It's the responsibility of the architect, not the laborer. It's recognizing that your choices are profoundly influenced by your context and then taking radical ownership over that context. It's admitting that you are susceptible to your environment, just like everyone else, and then designing an environment that serves your long-term vision for yourself. Willpower is playing checkers. Environmental design is playing chess. You have been handed a default world, a default apartment layout, a default phone setup, a default social circle. Each of these defaults is a powerful nudge, quietly shaping your thoughts, your habits, and ultimately, your identity. For most of your life, you have been a passive occupant within this architecture, but you can become the designer. You can choose to add friction to the paths that lead away from your goals. You can pave a smooth downhill path toward the person you want to be. This is a quiet revolution. It happens not with a grand gesture of heroic discipline, but with a series of small, deliberate design choices. Moving the fruit bowl to the center of the table, deleting an app, buying a smaller plate, joining a new community, choosing a different chair. Each choice is a vote cast for a future self. And these votes, cast in the physical and digital architecture of your life, are far more powerful than any single New Year's resolution. They don't run out, they don't get tired. They simply are. The new design becomes the new normal. And one day, you look up and realize you're no longer pushing the boulder. You're walking on a path you built yourself, and the destination is no longer a struggle. It's just where the path leads. The environment is doing the work. The ballot box is open. It's been open